to do self-help. All right, so let's take a look at NBC and CNN. So NBC actually had a unique. NBC had a interview with Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman, who is running against Dr. Oz. Okay. And John Fetterman is, for those of you who don't know, is still currently recovering from a stroke. And there was a full interview. There was a full interview that happened, right? There's a full interview that took place.
Now we focus on the Democratic candidate in another close Senate race, this one in Pennsylvania.
But the full interview itself was not what actually ended up making the headlines, okay? What ended up making the fucking headlines was NBC and CNN both being weirdly fucking gross and ableist. Because John Fetterman is now hard of hearing, okay? As a consequence of the stroke, he's hard of hearing. So he needed closed captioning technology in the NBC News interview. So they literally fucking mentioned it as though it was an own, which I think is fucking wild. Like, as ableist as I am, as pro-ableism as I am when it comes to cognitive functions decreasing, okay? I've always maintained the position that, like, if you're blind or if you need a wheelchair, if you're deaf, like, that does not impair you from being in a position of power, being in Congress. When I say I'm ableist, I'm talking about degenerative cognitive functions, like Joe Brandon's dementia or Ronald Reagan's dementia and Alzheimer's. Okay? It's crazy. It's crazy that the NBC interview, however, made it seem like this was a big fucking deal. So much so that Southpaw and others were very upset with this. He says, I dislike watching NBC News, a giant agenda-setting institution, and its reporter deliberately fixate on and exoticize Fetterman's straightforward accommodations for his disability. I wish it wasn't like this in America. Dasha Burns, the person who actually did the fucking interview, conducted the interview, Senate quite literally had this to say after the interview immediately.
Race in Pennsylvania now considered a toss-up. Our Dasha Burns spoke with Democrat John Fetterman in his first in-person sit-down interview since he suffered a stroke. And Dasha, this was not a typical candidate interview.
No, Lester, because of his stroke, Fetterman's campaign required closed captioning technology for this interview to essentially read our questions as we ask them. And Lester, in small talk before the interview, without captioning, it wasn't clear he was understanding our conversation.
Can voters trust that you will be able to do this job on?
Like, that's crazy. Motherfucker, I'm Turkish, okay? Turkish is my first language. All right? English is my second language. I need closed captioning when I'm watching movies and shit. Or else I can't fucking comprehend every single word that's being said. And I don't have a fucking hearing disability or anything like that. There are plenty of people that need it. Okay? There are plenty of people that need it. There are people whose first language is English and they need it. Being hard of hearing or having some kind of like hearing impairment is not an own. What the fuck?
On day one.
Yeah, of course.
This is Pennsylvania Democratic Senate candidate John Fetterman's first in-person sit-down interview since a stroke sidelined him from the campaign trail for months.
That auditory processing where I'll hear someone speaking, but sometimes I'll be able to be precise on what exactly that they're saying. I use captioning.
His campaign required that he be allowed to use a transcription program on his computer during our interview.
I always thought I was pretty empathetic, emphatic. I think I was very, empathetic. That's an example of the stroke, empathetic. Yeah. I always thought I was very empathetic before having a stroke. But now after having that stroke, I really understand much more kind of the challenges that Americans have day in and day out.
So you say you're on the road to full recovery, but right now, voters really have to take your word for it.
That's crazy. Like, I get that this is definitely a thing that is important, right? Like, This is certainly a thing that people are questioning. Like, people want to know because he is recovering from a stroke. Like, is he capable of doing it? But when you're in person with this person and you realize that they are capable of forming coherent thoughts and they're having this conversation, but they need like, accommodations for their hearing. That's crazy. Like, this is like, did the Oz campaign pay for this? Like, it just reads like a fucking hit piece, man. What the fuck?
We've asked for your medical records. We've asked to have a conversation with someone from your medical team to interview your physician. You've declined those requests. Why?
Well, I feel like we have been very transparent in a lot of different ways. When our doctor has already given a letter saying that I'm able to serve and to be running.
I mean, respectfully, that letter from your physician, that was 6 months ago. Don't voters deserve to know your status now?
Being in front of thousands and thousands of people and having interviews and getting around all across Pennsylvania, that gives everybody and the voters decide, if they think that it's really the issue.
Polls show Fetterman's lead is shrinking against Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz. It's now a toss-up race that could determine control of the Senate.
Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. This is actually fucking insane. NBC's literally cutting a hit job. No mention of policies. No mention of Dr. Oz. That's crazy. That NBC, by the way, supposedly, liberal or unbiased or liberal. Once again, I got to repeat liberal twice. You said first time? No, but like, oh my God. It's wild to see this, dude. It's wild to fucking see this in action. This is totally wrong. Fetterman understood and answered all questions. It's comically stupid to suggest that the voters care about him being able to debate on the Senate floor. When does that happen? He's not a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. Dude, that's crazy. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Yeah, why are you defending awful, disgusting, no good, slight, hard of hearing people? Shame. Yeah, disgusting of me. It's so funny because I've talked about being ableist to candidates so much. And every single time I bring that up, I literally will show the caveat. I will always explain that I'm not talking about ableism in the form of like, a hearing aid or a walking aid or not being able to see. I mean like literally fucking cognitive abilities. And they are unironically like, nah, fuck that. We are ableist across the board. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can't hear well? Well, fuck you then. You said it in the Navarra interview, I remember. It's not even a fucking toss-up. It's not. He's saying that, like, Fetterman's lead is shrinking. Okay? That's a 6-point fucking lead, man. That's crazy. I completely agree with you, but just to be a little fair, strokes are a big deal. Dude, of course. Of course strokes are a big deal. That's why I said it's understandable to ask one question about that and then fucking move on. But it's not like he's not doing campaign stops across Pennsylvania. What are you talking about? How are you going to make your main takeaway here whether or not John Fetterman is fit to fucking serve and then hyper focus on him needing hearing aids? Especially when the entirety of the Senate is composed of literal people with their brains leaking out of their fucking ears. Herschel Walker is running for Herschel Walker is running for Senate. And he is a walking billboard for CTE, okay? I've never heard Herschel Walker get up, stand up, and explain something from point A to point B without like going off on a fucking tangent about cows and bull penises and abortions. Dianne fucking Feinstein was removed from her committee position. Even her fucking aides are literally like, yeah, I'm not going to lie, dog. She's kind of old. She should probably not do this anymore. And then she went and said, it's possible, sorry to say I talked to John Fetterman over for an hour without stop or any aides, and this is just nonsense. Maybe this reporter is just bad at small talk. It's possible for two different reporters to have two different experiences with a candidate. Our team was in the room with him, reported what happened in it, as journalists do. Before and after closed captioning was on. Our full interview is now available to watch. That's crazy, man. She fucking doubled down on it. God damn. Even Tommy Vitor and the libs over at Crooked Media are like, this is totally wrong. Fetterman understood and answered all questions. It's comically stupid to suggest that voters care about him being able to debate on the Senate floor. No, I think voters will care a little bit about the aesthetics of the situation. But if you're an honest news broadcaster, your job isn't to literally fucking jump and direct the conversation in that way, unless you're just cutting opposition research. We were happy to accommodate closed captioning. Our reporting did not and should not comment on fitness for office. This is for voters to decide. What we do push for as reporters is transparency. It's our job. Fetterman sat down and answered our question. That's his job. I'm so mad. I work for a senator. They can't even go to the bathroom by themselves. Not that they are not physically capable, just that they're used to someone being at their assistance at all times. They will get support he needs like every other senator. But it's not. That's not even the real disability that John Fetterman has is not his fucking hearing aids. Okay, the real disability that John Fetterman has is that he's a little bit more to the left than the average Democratic Party candidate, even when the Democratic Party has basically conceded after their primary opportunities in usurping him, okay? When all that fucking failed, they had to basically concede, like, this is a free seat in Pennsylvania. We got to take what we can get here, okay? So that's his real disability. That's his real problem, okay? At Keck W chatters immediately as soon as I said the real disability that John Fetterman has, chat lit up saying he's bald. Okay, yes, balding visibility. Yes, that is a disability. We're not going to use ableist language like bald. We're going to say follically impaired. He isn't backing down. Recovering from a stroke in public isn't easy, but in January, I'm going to be much better, and Dr. Oz will still be a fraud. Yeah, I mean, this shit's fucking wild, man. It's wild. It's wild. I can't get over
Republicans focusing on crime, in particular Fetterman's votes on the parole board.
Fetterman says he's trying to get as many criminals out.
I love the Fetterman attack ads because he looks so fucking badass, by the way. And they're trying to hit him from both angles. Okay? They're trying to hit him from both angles. They're trying to say that he wants to release every violent criminal psychopath into your fucking suburb, okay? But then also he's like, and he's a vigilante who like chased after a black man with a shotgun. Which is insane. Like, how do you get both? How do you do both? Motherfucker looks like a bounty hunter. You're saying he is a bounty hunter while simultaneously saying he wants to release every single fucking criminal. Why? Does he want to fucking chase him himself? Is that why he wants to release every criminal? Because that's what this attack ad makes it seem like. It literally makes it seem like John Fetterman wants every criminal to be released so he can take the law into his own hands. And like Pennsylvanians are going to look at this and go, God damn, that's my candidate. He's about to... The vulnerability of John Fetterman. He's trying to flip Pennsylvania's open Senate seat while fending off a celebrity doctor and recovering from a stroke that almost killed him. Jesus Christ. Isn't it interesting how Biden had 2 brain aneurysms and the media never talked about it, but it was totally fair game to attack Bernie for his heart attack and now Fetterman for his stroke? Seems like there are no rules when it comes to attacking left-leaning candidates. Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
Out of prison as he can.
Including votes in favor of paroling convicted murderers.
Are you soft on crime?
Of course not. I'm actually effective on crime, and I believe in second chances, and I've run on that record.
Meanwhile, Fetterman going after Dr. Oz on abortion rights.
Dr. Oz likes to make fun of me that I might miss a word, but he's missed 2 words, and that is a yes or no on the national abortion ban. If you're going to be our next senator, you have to give the answer.
Lester Fetterman told us he is committed to debating Dr. Oz on October 25th, where he will also be using closed captioning.
Damn, fucking got his ass, dude. You really did. Be a little bit more ableist. Be like, yeah, fucking find NBC looking for new and creative and unique ways to shit on deaf people. We got a lot for the blind, but let's hear it for the deaf folks. You know what I mean? This fucking deafy. Crazy. Actually fucking crazy. I can't believe it, dude.
Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman just gave his first in-person, on-camera interview since having a stroke 5 months ago. Fetterman showed NBC News how he uses closed captioning to read questions in real time to overcome the physical.
This is something that the media does all the time, okay? It's a very effective way of, like, manufacturing drama, okay? The media does this. We see it as a microcosm within, like, the Twitch sphere as well, where, like, you will pick something, you will create drama and tension out of it, okay? No matter how fucking ridiculous or how frivolous it is. And then instead of like analyzing whether or not it's frivolous or ridiculous, you will then go up and say, many people are saying it's controversial. And then you further the narrative that way. You just move on from whether or not that was even adequate to the next stage, which is a lot of people are shocked by John Fetterman not being able to hear well. It's like, what do you mean? Are we? I'm more shocked that you're making a big deal out of this.
Effects of his stroke. Robert Costa has the latest on this story.
Can voters trust that you will be able to do this job on day one?
Yeah, of course.
In a recent interview with NBC News, which aired yesterday, Pennsylvania's Democratic Senate nominee John Fetterman was seen using a closed captioning device.
We got him, boys.
As in some settings since his stroke in May.
That auditory processing where I'll hear someone speaking, but sometimes I'll be able to be precise on what exactly that they're saying. I use captioning.
The interview was the latest prism into the Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor's recovery process, which has become a political target in one of the nation's key Senate races, with Republican Mehmet Oz pressing Fetterman to disclose more about his health.
I'm calling on John Fetterman.
Fetterman's campaign has disclosed his use of the captioning technology several times since he began his post-stroke media interviews.
I feel like we have been very transparent in a lot of different ways when our doctor has already given a letter saying that I'm able to serve and to be running.
I mean, respectfully, that letter from your physician, that was 6 months ago. Don't voters deserve to know your status?
What do you think? His hearing is worsened over 6 months? Like, what happened in that process? In the process of 6 months, he literally got out of the fucking hospital and started doing a Pennsylvania-wide, statewide tour. He got better. What do you mean? Well, 6 months has happened. Like, he's still recovering while simultaneously touring the fucking state. And she's like, well, I don't know. Maybe you got worse secretly. I can't get over it, man.
This now.
Being in front of thousands and thousands of people and having interviews and getting around all across Pennsylvania, that gives everybody and the voters decide, if they think that it's really the issue.
After the interview aired Tuesday night, Fetterman's campaign said in a statement, John is healthy and he also still has a lingering auditory processing issue that his doctors expect will go away, adding he's been transparent and talking openly about his health, while also showing voters how this closed caption technology helps him communicate more effectively.
All eyes now turn to the October 25th debate between Fetterman and Oz in Harrisburg, which will be the one debate in the race. Several national Democratic strategists told CBS News last night that Fetterman's recovery will be a variable on that stage and for the rest of the race. But they're confident that alarm over the future of abortion rights and questions over Oz's ties to Trump could lift Fetterman's chances in the swing suburban areas around Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. President Biden will weigh in soon, hosting a fundraiser for Fetterman next week in Philadelphia. Tony.
That's what I mean. This is just straight wild. More on this, by the way. They're still talking about this. They brought in Dr. Sanjay Gupta on fucking CNN. Developing story. Fetterman now uses closed captioning to understand conversations. Fucking got him.
Let me show you here something. The stroke, which was on May 13th, so about 5 months ago, seemed to affect his ability to sort of comprehend or
mainstream media is going harder on deaf people right now, or the hearing impaired people, than me when the 700th time some motherfucker asked, can you please turn on closed captioning? Which, by the way, ironically, as much as I yell, I'm always fucking accommodating because I myself need closed captioning.
Understand spoken speech. So what he seems to be doing then is then sort of relying more on his visual part of his brain, which is back here, to read the words. And then he's responding pretty quickly. So, we don't, as you heard there, we don't know what his medical records show. We don't know how much this affected him immediately after his stroke. So what his recovery has looked like so far. What's interesting.
God damn, dude. Doesn't all Fox News viewer base have the same hearing problems as Fetterman? I mean, they're all like 70 plus. I mean, they're way worse than that. It's wild to fucking turn, and it is truly wild to turn this into a much larger point of contention than it actually is, or that it actually needs to be. Okay? That's insane. Like this kind of out-of-pocket behavior is it has to be purposely done. I can't believe that there is no reason to this. Or the reason is just like purely the interest the media has in like seeing blood. There's no fucking way. So aggro. So insanely aggro. Biden's Department of Labor, AOC on the council, Dennis Prager on incest, Ben Shapiro on Kanye West, Amazon workers from at least 5 facilities in Georgia, California, Illinois go on strike during Prime Week this week. I don't know. I just Rick Caruso on being Italian.
You had a stroke just days before the primary here. This is the first time you've sat down with a journalist in person. You have closed captioning technology to help with those auditory processing issues. Will this impact how you do your job if elected? For example, will you need potentially accommodations like this on the Senate floor?
Why would that impact his job performance, dude? Why? Why would that impact his? That's just straight ableism.
I don't think it's going to have an impact. I feel like I'm going to get better and better every day. And by January, I'm going to be, much better. And Dr. Oz is still going to be a fraud, but, I guess what I'm saying is that there.
Bro, she's just asking, stop. Brother, that's an insane question to ask. You understand that, right? That question inherently is an ableist question. Needing fucking hearing aids on the Senate floor is not going to render. It's quite literally the exact same thing as like going up to like Greg Abbott or Tammy Duckworth and being like, is it going to impact your performance that you need walking aids? Okay? That's a ridiculous question. I fucking despise Greg Abbott, but that's a psychotic question to ask. That has never been a point of contention for anyone. It literally doesn't matter. It's like coming to me and be like, you need glasses. Will that impair? You need glasses. Does that impact your job performance? I'm like, no. At the top of the hour, I still serve the fucking ads. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free. I can see that the top of the hour ad break is upon us with or without the glasses. Okay? And if you want to see an uninterrupted broadcast experience, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime, or by getting gifted a sub. If you're lucky, here's the 1 minute ad break now.
Really isn't anything that's going to stop me from doing this job.
I mean, it took you a long time to get back on the campaign trail. Can voters trust that you will be able to do this job on day one?
Yeah, of course. I think that the campaign itself is incredibly difficult, and even with or without having the stroke is an issue. But I've been able to run a successful campaign despite having the issues with auditory processing, etc. So I believe I'm going to be able to serve effectively.
You've been on this road of recovery. I'm sure it hasn't been easy. This is a serious health.
Daily Beast piling on too. Yes, man. Yes. The fucking Clintonites are out, dude. What the fuck? Like, let's be real. The Daily Beast is basically like the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, like the most liberal side of the Democratic Party, right? But it's wild. Like, Brandon is the fucking president, man. Top of the hour bot gave me a 8.47 out of 10, by the way. Let's fucking go, boys. We're out here. In the primaries, and they are ripping into fucking Dr. Oz. Like, the Daily Beast has been ripping into Dr. Oz relentlessly. Sometimes going too far, in my estimation, as someone who doesn't even like Dr. Oz, right? I have openly stated that some of the Daily Beast articles were fucking ridiculous. And now they're just ripping into John Fetterman, which is a weird change of pace here. Very suspicious.
Condition. This is a serious health issue that you experienced. What has that recovery process been like? How has it changed your day-to-day experience?
It's everything. It changes everything.
Yeah.
Everything about it has changed. Basically, having a conversation with your wife, to having a conversation with your children, just things, especially early after the stroke. The ability to really understand exactly what I'm being heard but it gets much, much better where I take in a lot. But to be precise, I use captioning. So that's really the major challenge. And every now and then I'll miss a word every now and then, or sometimes I'll maybe mush 2 words together. But as soon as I have captioning, I'm able to understand exactly what's being asked. But even after the stroke, immediately after that, I was able to read everything, and I haven't lost any memories or anything like that. It's just really the lingering issue that I have.
Yeah, I mean, I know before this you've admitted you hadn't really thought about your health very much. You hadn't taken great care of yourself. What's it like now for you? Is there some frustration in having to face this, every day?
It's not frustration. It's just a challenge, actually.
Sir, what do you have to say to the fact that we see your knees and ankles quite regularly and you dress up awfully? Sir, what do you have to say for that? Many people are saying you wear Carhartt a lot, and we find that to be distasteful, particularly.
I always thought I was pretty empathetic